Deep beneath the monumental foundations of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., lies a subterranean world entirely cut off from the historic marble above. While millions of tourists stand in awe of Abraham Lincoln's giant statue, 99% of them have no clue they're standing directly on top of a massive cavern. Deep within the building's heavy support structure, a hidden security door reveals a pitch-black, cave-like underworld. Here, groundwater continuously filters through the overhead limestone, slowly forming delicate stalactites along the colossal concrete pillars. But the most incredible human touch is the authentic graffiti left behind by the original construction crew back in 1914. Among the faded historical sketches, eagle-eyed explorers can find a permanent mistake. A sculptor accidentally misspelled the word future with an E instead of an F, a raw, human flaw buried right beneath one of America's most perfect national monuments. Halfway across the globe, at the northern tip of Queensland, Australia, nature unleashes a spectacular atmospheric illusion that leaves travelers completely stunned. Every single spring at dawn, a terrifyingly beautiful cloud formation rolls across the Gulf of Carpentaria. Known to meteorologists as the morning glory cloud, this isn't your average storm. It is a jaw-dropping, perfectly cylindrical tube of clouds stretching up to 600 miles long, racing just 1,000 feet above the ground at speeds of up to 40 miles per hour. This phenomenon acts like a massive atmospheric wave. A violent, low-level updraft rapidly forces air up to the front of the cylinder, creating its tightly rolled, pipeline appearance, while cool air violently plummets down the back edge, causing it to dissolve. It looks like a solid, rolling mountain, a vapor gliding across the sky like a giant cosmic highway. Deep in northeastern Thailand, roughly 460 miles from Bangkok, a staggering geological marvel punches right through the dense jungle canopy. Rising dramatically out of forested mountains of viewing can are three colossal, ultra-smooth sandstone monoliths. From a drone's eye view, they look exactly like a pod of gigantic blue whales swimming side by side through a green ocean of trees. This breathtaking ancient landmark is called Hin Sam Wan, or Three Whale Rock. 75 million years ago, back when the Tyrannosaurus Rex ruled the planet, this entire region was nothing but a scorching, barren desert. Over millennia, the violent shifting of tectonic plates forced these heavy stone layers toward the sky, while the relentless flow of the prehistoric Mekong River systematically carved away the surrounding earth. The wind and water acted as master sculptors, smoothing out every sharp edge until the stones perfectly resembled massive marine giants. Today, hikers who dare to scale the steep jungle trails can stand directly on the flat, smooth crowns of these stone whales, looking out over the endless green horizons of Thailand and Laos. While nature writes its history in stone, humanity has left behind puzzles that are completely uncrackable. The ultimate historical mystery is the Voynich Manuscript, an ancient book discovered in 1912 that remains the world's most baffling text. Written in an entirely unknown script that follows no known grammatical or linguistic structure, the manuscript is filled with surreal, hand-drawn illustrations. It features intricate zodiac charts, cosmic diagrams, and pages of highly detailed botanical sketches. But here's the most unsettling part. Not a single plant illustrated in the entire book matches any known species on planet Earth. For over a century, the world's elite cryptographers, military code breakers, and master linguists have tried to decode its secrets. While many have claimed to break individual letters, the actual text remains an impenetrable, beautiful time capsule locked in total silence. Far above the clouds where human history unfolds, the upper atmosphere experiences its own terrifying electrical anomalies. Known to scientists as jellyfish lightning or red sprites, these bizarre electrical discharges fire upward into the Earth's mesosphere, up to 50 miles above the ground. Sprites are not normal lightning bolts. They are a rare form of cold plasma discharge that flashes directly above massive, highly active thunderstorms. When a powerful bolt of cloud-to-ground lightning hits the Earth, it creates an instantaneous, violent electrical imbalance in the sky. To stabilize the charge, a burst of energy fires upward toward space. As this cold electricity shoots through the mesosphere, it smashes into nitrogen molecules, causing them to glow a ghostly deep crimson red. These structures can span over 30 miles wide, casting massive, jellyfish-like silhouettes against the edge of space. Because they occur so high up and last for only a fraction of a millisecond, They are almost impossible to spot with the naked eye. While cold plasma lights up the edge of space, a fragile winter phenomenon creates breathtaking art right on the ground. In the freezing winters of Michigan, orchard farmers occasionally wake up to find glassy, completely transparent sculptures hanging silently from the branches of their fruit trees. These are known as ghost apples, and the recipe to create one is incredibly precise. First, a sudden freezing rain must coat the winter apples in a thin, uniform armor of ice. The air must stay freezing to harden the outer shell, but the sun must warm the apple's interior. Because apples have a lower freezing point than pure water, the internal fruit thaws first, turning into a soft, mushy pulp. Eventually, this liquid pulp slips out through a small crack at the bottom of the ice glaze, leaving behind a flawless, completely hollow shell of crystal clear ice shaped exactly like a ghost apple hanging from the tree. In the heart of America stands a monumental feat of engineering designed to mirror the boundless spirit of the frontier, the iconic Gateway Arch in St. Louis. Towering at an imposing 630 feet high and 630 feet wide, it stands proud as the tallest man-made national monument in the United States. Built to survive catastrophic earthquakes and violent Midwestern tornadoes, this pure stainless steel structure is remarkably flexible, engineered to sway up to 18 inches in high winds without sustaining a single crack. But the arch also guards a massive historical secret. Welded directly into the topmost apex of the heavy steel framework is a solid time capsule containing the ink signatures, personal stories, and well wishes of over 700,000 citizens of St. Louis, preserved forever at the highest point of the city sky. High in the windswept passes of the Rocky Mountains, the elements occasionally combine to form self-rolling snow structures known as snow rollers. Unlike a traditional snowball rolled by human hands, a snow roller is a masterpiece of pure physics. The process starts when a thin, damp layer of fresh snow lands on top of a smooth sheet of ice or fine powder. If a sudden, powerful gust of wind blows at the perfect angle, it will literally peel up a small strip of the damp top snow, rolling it over itself. As the wind drives a piece down a slope, it gathers more layers, naturally forming a hollow, tire-like donut shape. These fragile winter structures can range from the size of a baseball to the dimensions of a massive car tire, standing as brief monuments to the invisible power of nature before the midday sun collapses them back into the powder. For thousands of years, humanity has been obsessed with the legend of Atlantis, a highly advanced, maritime utopia that allegedly vanished beneath the waves in a single day and night of catastrophic fire and earthquakes. First described by the ancient philosopher Plato in 360 BC in his dialogues, Atlantis was said to be a magnificent city built in perfect, alternating concentric circles of black and red stone, divided by deep water channels where massive sailing fleets navigated directly to the open sea. For centuries, oceanographers have searched the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean and the Bahamas for these legendary ruins. But explosive alternative theory has completely gripped the internet. What if we have been looking in the wrong place all along? What if Atlantis wasn't swallowed by the sea, but is resting in plain sight in the middle of the arid Sahara Desert? Located in the desolate plains of Mauritania, the Rikhat structure, famously known as the Eye of the Sahara, is a colossal geological formation consisting of near-perfect concentric rings of rock. When viewed from a satellite, the striking visual similarity to Plato's description of Atlantis is undeniable. Furthermore, historical climate models prove that thousands of years ago, the Sahara was not a barren desert. It was a fertile landscape filled with massive rivers, deep lakes, and sweeping waterways. The theory gained massive traction on YouTube, drawing millions of views and triggering intense debates among anthropologists. Proponents argue that an ancient civilization could have easily utilized these natural concentric stone circles to build Plato's legendary capital. However, modern scientific analysis has firmly debunked the Martian-like structure as the site of Atlantis. First, there is a major age discrepancy, as Atlantis allegedly existed 12,000 years ago, while the eye holds Acheulean tools that are over 130,000 years old. Second, extensive archaeological surveys have found thousands of prehistoric stone arrowheads and spears, but zero artificial foundations, brickwork, or technological debris. Finally, soil and rock analysis prove the eye is not a meteor crater or an artificial excavation. It is a deeply eroded, deeply buried volcanic dome that rose and cracked millions of years ago. The theory was a classic case of pareidolia, a compelling optical illusion where external visual similarities are mistaken for historical truth. If Atlantis isn't the Sahara or beneath the Bermuda Triangle, was the story entirely a fiction invented by Plato to illustrate his philosophical theories on moral decay? Perhaps. In his writings, Plato used the Atlanteans as a cautionary tale, a once spiritual, utopian society that became consumed by greed, vanity, and hubris, forcing the gods to plunge their city into the sea. Yet, historians suspect Plato's allegory was inspired by real, terrifying volcanic catastrophes that occurred regularly across the ancient Mediterranean. Around 1600 BC, the highly advanced Minoan civilization flourished on the islands of Crete and Santorini. The Minoans possessed beautiful multi-story palaces, complex indoor plumbing, and an elite maritime trading empire. They reinforced their stone walls with flexible wooden beams to survive frequent earthquakes, but they did not understand the true nature of the volcano sleeping beneath Santorini. When the mountain finally erupted, it released tons of toxic sulfur, ash, and lava into the sky. The violent collapse of the volcano's caldera triggered a monumental tsunami that smashed into the northern coast of Crete, obliterating their naval ports and shattering their economy. Left vulnerable and starving, the Minoan civilization collapsed into history, leaving behind a tragic, cross-cultural memory of an advanced empire swallowed instantly by the rage of the sea. While some cities are lost forever, others are being systematically pulled out of the water. For over 1,600 years, the Lighthouse of Alexandria stood as the ultimate symbol of engineering genius in the ancient world. Built around 280 BC on the tiny island of Pharos in Egypt, this towering white monolith reached over 330 feet into the sky, standing taller than the Statue of Liberty long before the invention of modern cranes, structural steel, or mechanical engines. For ancient mariners navigating the treacherous, reef-choked waters of Egypt, the lighthouse was a literal lifesaver. It cost an astronomical 800 Athenian talents of silver to construct, requiring laborers to manually haul 23 tons of pure silver coins across the sea without modern equipment. The tower was designed in 3 distinct, beautiful tiers: a massive square base, an elegant octagonal middle section, and cylindrical top. At its absolute peak stood a monumental statue of Zeus or Poseidon. By day, a giant polished bronze mirror reflected the glare of the Mediterranean sun. By night, a massive fire fueled by papyrus roots and napped ablaze at the top, visible to incoming ships from over 30 miles away. The lighthouse was so legendary that its name, Pharos, became the root word for lighthouse across dozens of modern languages. It directly inspired popular fictional towers in modern fantasy universes, just as the Colossus of Rhodes inspired massive mythical harbor statues. Yet, like all ancient wonders, it was ultimately broken by nature. A series of catastrophic earthquakes during the 14th century brought the tower crashing down, scattering its colossal granite blocks across the seafloor. For 500 years, these 60-ton slabs sat undisturbed in the dark waters of Alexandria, transforming into an underwater rock garden. But in recent times, a joint Egyptian and French archaeological team arrived with specialized deep-sea salvage crane. Divers successfully hauled 22 massive stones back onto dry land for the first time in 6 centuries, including giant door lintels and a mysterious monumental pylon. Some blocks weighed up to 70 to 80 tons per piece. But researchers aren't going to rebuild the tower out of stone. Much of the original lighthouse was repurposed centuries ago to build the Citadel of Cape Bay, which stands directly on the lighthouse's original foundations. Instead, archaeology is turning to the digital frontier. Through an initiative called the Pharaohs Project, every single recovered fragment is undergoing ultra-high-resolution 3D scanning. These digital files are being systematically pieced together to create a flawless, fully explorable digital twin of the Lighthouse of Alexandria. Soon, using advanced virtual and augmented reality, historians and tourists worldwide will be able to step inside a photorealistic rendering of the 330-foot wonder, scale its winding interior stairs, and watch an ancient sunset over a long-vanished world. Our journey into the deep past concludes on a rounded hillside in southeastern Turkey, at a site that completely forced historians to burn and rewrite their textbook understanding of human civilization. Göbekli Tepe. Crafted over 11,000 years ago, this enigmatic masterpiece is thousands of years older than Stonehenge or the Egyptian pyramids. Breaking through surrounding plateaus, the site has a gently rounded top rising 50 feet above the landscape. Surprisingly, the translation of this place's name is Potbelly Hill. Archaeologist Klaus Schmidt was certain only humans could have made something like this. Those broken limestone pieces that were initially mistaken for modern gravestones turned out to be way more exciting. It was like stumbling upon a hidden treasure. The pieces took on a whole new meaning, and Schmidt, with his team, was about to dive into the secrets waiting beneath the surface. To their surprise, they found no traces of a permanent settlement, no hearths for cooking, no houses, and none of those clay figurines commonly found in nearby sites of similar age. However, they discovered that those ancient people used tools like stone hammers. So, Schmidt and his team put their heads together and took a wild guess at the age of the stone structures. Their estimation got backed up by some limited carbon dating done right at the site. The ancient vibes of this place were finally starting to make sense. It was like a puzzle slowly coming together. You may think that back then people didn't have special tools to create something as cool as this site. Not true. Turns out these prehistoric folks used flint tools instead of fancy metal chisels. They were also skilled at chipping away softer limestone and crafting pillars right on the spot. Afterward, they carried the pillars a short distance to the summit and placed them upright. Once the stone rings were complete, they covered them with layers of dirt. Over time, they added new rings and voila, you got a cool hill to impress people in the future. During their first year of excavation, the team went through 15,000 pieces of animal bones from wild creatures. These people didn't have pet animals or grew their own food. They hunted wild animals for their meals. But things were about to change because the place had everything they needed to start farming. Scientists say they had wild sheep and wild grains that could be domesticated. And guess what? Just 20 miles away, geneticists found evidence of the world's oldest domesticated strains of wheat at a prehistoric village. These amazing findings have completely changed how we view civilization. In the past, experts believed that people needed to learn how to farm and settle in one place before they could build temples and develop complex societies. But guess what? Schmidt's research flips that idea on its head. He claims that the incredible effort put into constructing these astonishing structures set the stage for the development of advanced societies. It means that societal and cultural changes happened before agriculture. Schmidt has this fascinating hypothesis about the site. He thinks it could have been a special burial site where people left their loved ones. And here's the twist. The burial site was adorned with fancy statues and symbols representing deities from the spiritual realm. The idea that it could have served as a sacred place adds another layer of complexity to the whole story. While the site's true purpose may remain elusive, Schmidt's insights invite us to consider profound interplay between life and the afterlife, and the deep reverence ancient hunter-gatherer societies may have had for their departed ancestors. Now, let's talk about the stars of the show, the mesmerizing T-shaped columns that dominate the area. These mysterious structures range from 10 to 20 feet tall, and most likely represent stylized human figures. But one figure stands out from the rest, the three-dimensional lion relief. This depiction really fires up our imagination. Why? Because it hints at the possibility that lions roamed Anatolia during the Neolithic period. These standing stones are arranged in circles and placed in rectangular pits. Each circle has a similar setup. Two big T-shaped pillars in the center surrounded by slightly smaller ones facing inward. Talk about a stylish arrangement. These towering pillars reach a whopping 16 feet and weigh between 7 and 10 tons. Some pillars are plain and simple, while others are like works of art with intricate carvings. Foxes, scorpions, and vultures come to life crawling and twisting on the pillar's sides. But it's not just animals depicted on these stones. Some pillars have abstract shapes representing humans, and even small carvings of clothing items. Some of them even have belts. Now, there's one pillar that stands out from the rest like a rock star. This super old stone pillar suggests that a comet crashed into Earth. It happened during a chilly period that lasted about 1,000 years. Previous studies examining Greenland ice cores hinted at this comet theory, but now the carvings at the site prove it right. The carvings on the pillars are like a historical comic strip. They even show a headless human figure. Researchers fed the images into a computer and discovered their connections to constellations, indicating that this temple might have been an ancient observatory. It's like our ancestors were trying to document this cataclysmic event in their own unique way. Archaeologists have been excavating and researching the site since the mid-1990s, peeling back layers of history and providing us with a deeper understanding of the intricate relationship between various elements. They have no plans to stop the whole process for another 150 years. Who knows what else they'll find? You see, the area has been labeled purely as a ritual site with no signs of domestic activities. We were led to believe that the absence of water meant it couldn't support semi-sedentary communities. But scientists believe it's time to shake things up and approach the site with fresh eyes. It's time to question what we believed before and use new evidence and different ways of thinking. Like, there might have been a group of people living in the area who didn't stay in one place all the time. They moved around a bit, but still had their own civilization living in the area semi-sedentarily. The site is not just home to a single temple, but an astounding collection of over 20 ancient structures. As archaeologists delve into the depths of this wonder, they are unraveling its unique layout featuring two prominent focal points at the heart of each establishment complemented by smaller structures and dividing walls. What's even crazier is that in this area there are over 200 obelisks, which are narrow tapering monuments. So here's the famous Grand Canyon in Arizona, a gigantic crack in the ground of incredible beauty and grandeur. Now imagine it dozens of miles longer and lying at the bottom of the ocean. In fact, you don't have to imagine it because you can see the scene in real life. A massive crack in the ocean floor lies about 620 miles west of Portugal. This mysterious rift is called the King's Trough Complex. It's a broad system of parallel trenches and basins descending into the dark depths of the Earth's crust. All of this awe-inspiring beauty stretches for about 310 miles. The deepest part of the system is known as Peak Deep. It's located at the eastern end and is one of the deepest places in the Atlantic Ocean. The Bermuda Triangle, the Mariana Trench, and other places surrounded by mysteries, secrets, and legends may fade into the background compared to the King's Trough Complex. There are no frightening stories or records of vanished ships here, but just imagine it. At the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean in icy waters where almost no light reaches lies a giant unexplored rift. What's down there? What kind of creatures might be found? Perhaps there are remains of sunken ships. We are unlikely to find out anytime soon, because reaching it is extremely difficult due to the immense pressure. For now, the only thing scientists truly understand is the origin of this underwater canyon. But first, let's look at how similar formations appear on the surface. The Grand Canyon, for example, was formed by a river, meandering slowly over millions of years. It carved through the region, washing away and grinding down sedimentary rock. So, here's the question. Do you think something similar happened to the floor of the Atlantic? Of course, there are no rivers there. But what about underwater currents? Could they have created such a giant dark fissure, reaching deep into the Earth's crust? Well, in fact, no. The origin of the King's Trough Complex is connected to the movement of tectonic plates and the thermal activity beneath them. But how did scientists determine the cause? Well, the rift lies deep underwater, in complete darkness. That wasn't a problem for researchers. They sailed to the site on a research vessel and used a powerful sonar system to create a detailed map of the area. After obtaining a clear picture of the terrain, they selectively retrieved volcanic rock samples from different parts of the trench using a chain bag dredge. After that, they delivered the samples to laboratories for chemical analysis. All of this data helped scientists discover that between 37 and 24 million years ago, this part of the North Atlantic temporarily became a boundary zone between the European and African tectonic plates. Tectonic plates are enormous slabs of rock that cover the Earth's crust like a planetary-scale mosaic. They move, collide, overlap, and push away from one another. The King's Trough Complex formed during a period when the Earth's crust was splitting apart because of the movement of tectonic plates. It pulled away from east to west, resembling a giant zipper being undone. Now, In addition, scientists found evidence that the crust in this area was subjected to intense heating rising from deep within the planet. Although researchers don't know exactly what occurred, it's likely that hot material known as a mantle plume rose toward the surface. All these events deformed and fractured the Earth's crust, leaving us with what could be called an underwater Grand Canyon. But why are we interested in this at all? What does knowledge of events that happened tens of years ago give us? Well, scientists now better understand how processes deep within the mantle can influence the movement of tectonic plates. This major research also provides insight into the geological evolution of the Atlantic seafloor. All of it helps humanity better understand similar processes taking place today. For example, near the Azores, another giant system of trenches known as the Tercera Rift is forming right now. What will happen next to this rift? Is such an event dangerous for people? One of the reasons scientists conduct these studies is to answer questions like these. It's unknown what secrets may still be hidden within that underwater fracture. But let's return to land and our beloved Grand Canyon. Even though it is famous worldwide, there are things inside this canyon that may surprise you. The Grand Canyon is ancient, yet it continues to change. Rock erosion happens slowly, but with each passing year, the canyon grows deeper and its shape evolves. Now, if you plan to visit the Grand Canyon, prepare for unpredictable weather. The canyon has its own climate, which can differ from the surrounding region. Because of the dramatic elevation changes, temperatures constantly shift. Snow may fall along the rim while not far below. People inside the canyon enjoy warm sunshine. Walk a little farther and higher, and you might find yourself in the rain. Take shelter lower down, and you could end up surrounded by fog. So, plan your route carefully and check forecasts from official weather services. There's both good and bad news for archaeologists. In the Grand Canyon, you can find ancient fossils of marine creatures more than 1 billion years old. In its caves, there are traces of land mammals dating back 10,000 years. The bad news is there are no dinosaurs here. The canyon was most likely formed after those ancient reptiles became extinct. Now, one thing that may surprise you during a hike to the Grand Canyon is Supai Village with a population of about 200 people. It's located at the base of the canyon within the Havasupai Indian Reservation. It's the most remote settlement in the continental U.S. and the only place in the country where mail is still delivered by a pack mule. There are no roads leading to the village, and if you want to visit it, you'll need to prepare for a challenging hike along steep slopes under the blazing sun. Beyond its fascinating natural features, the Grand Canyon also has things that are almost fantastical and eerie, at least according to rumors and legends. For example, there's a hotel room known as the Grand Canyon Cavern Suite inside the canyon deep within one of the caves. At a depth of 220 feet, guests find a luxurious room with all the comforts and, according to some accounts, something unsettling. Some visitors have reported stones moving inside the room, frightening dancing shadows, strange sounds, and movements near the bed where they were sleeping. You might also hear many local legends about spirits and monsters that inhabit the canyon. Of course, these are just stories, but some truly tragic events have taken place here. The canyon has become a grave for many people. Over time, around 800 people, according to official records, have passed away here. There were accidents, mysterious incidents, and real tragedies. For example, in 1956, 2 airplanes collided in the sky above the canyon, and that was far from the only case. So, be careful when you come here. Stay away from the cliffs and keep close to your group. There is also a theory that ancient, advanced civilizations once lived in the Grand Canyon. These rumors began in 1909 when a local newspaper published a major article claiming that 2 archaeologists from the Smithsonian Institution had discovered a secret tunnel filled with Egyptian artifacts and mummies. The Grand Canyon and ancient Egypt. How could that be possible considering the vast distance between them? Soon after the article was published, the Smithsonian Institution issued a denial. No archaeologists from the institution had conducted such research, and certainly none had found Egyptian artifacts. Many believe the newspaper had published a hoax, although some suggest the institution deliberately concealed information about hidden discoveries. In any case, the story seems highly unlikely. Now, Even though you know all this and want to see something similar yet different, you should travel to Tibet, where the Yarlung Tsongpa Canyon is located. It is 2 miles deeper and 30 miles longer than the Grand Canyon. There you would also see many fascinating things, but that a topic far too large and deserves another video. Hold your breath. We're going to the seabed. What do we have here? A lot of fish, octopuses, coral reefs, perfect circles of unknown origin, shrimps, stingrays, sharks. Wait, what? Hold on. What are those perfect circles on the seabed? Wow. Perfectly symmetrical, 67 feet in diameter, with a clear outline. 1, 2, 3, 10, 20. There are so many of them. 1,300 strange rings at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. What are they doing there? How did they appear? Try to guess. Traces of an extraterrestrial civilization? The remains of an ancient city? A new kind of sea creature? There's a 99% chance you won't be able to give the correct answer. But here's a little hint. There's a connection between these circles and the Ice Age. It seems that the mystery has become even more complicated. But let's find the answer together. So, it all started in 2011. Marine biologists discovered mysterious circles at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. And the first question that arose was why no one had noticed them before, given the vast territory these circles occupy. The fact is that a big part of the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea is too shallow and close to the shore, and for this reason, no one is engaged in mining there. At the same time, the bottom is too deep for scuba divers. Thus, the circles were in some kind of blind spot. Let's move on. The circles are approximately the same size with a clear outline and perfect symmetry. But the strangest thing is that there's a dark spot in the center of each of them. Visually, it looks like a fried egg with a yolk in the middle. In 2013, biologists discussed the discovery at a scientific conference and made assumptions about the nature of these circles. Perhaps they were connected to underwater volcanoes that left such strange marks after the eruption. Perhaps it was a strange geological formation. But why are they so perfectly round? It doesn't look like they appeared by accident. Okay, let's move on. Is it possible that it's coralline algae growing in weird shapes? You can guess as much as you'd like. But scientists needed to go down to the bottom and study the rings up close. So they did. In the center of the ring was a large protrusion formed by red calcareous algae. This ledge was several feet high and wide, and there were swaying fan-shaped growths at its top. The strange ledge was surrounded by some kind of pale screen that looked like debris. The outer ring itself consisted of rhodoliths, accumulations of hard rocky algae. Scientists realized that those weren't just circles. They seemed to be alive. Okay, more questions appeared. Let's say it's some kind of strange algae. But why form these circles? What made them this way? Scientists took samples of material from the center of the circles and found out that they were about 21,000 years old. At that time, large-scale events were taking place. They changed the appearance of Earth and the fate of all creatures living on it. 21,000 years ago was the peak of the last ice age. The Mediterranean Sea was much smaller and colder than it is now, and the seabed on which the mysterious rings appeared was closer to the surface. Now it's dark here, but at that time, this place was illuminated by sunlight passing through the water. Scientists also discovered several caves with layers of sedimentary rocks near the circles. In the past, these caves were located above the coastline and were washed by waves, resulting in erosion and the appearance of these empty gaps. Now they're completely underwater. Okay, what does this give us? The cold sea was not too deep during the Ice Age. What's next? Next, the scientists found out the nature of these strange ledges in the middle of the rings. At first glance, they looked very similar to corals, but in fact, they were sediments formed by coralline algae. These photosynthetic organisms created a skeleton of calcium carbonate. And the reason they did it there is that it was a warm place with access to sunlight. In the beginning, these algae were thriving. They expanded outward and formed something similar to domes or large pancakes. Then the Ice Age began to end. The weather became warmer. The water gradually heated up, and giant continental glaciers began to melt. A huge amount of melted ice flowed into the Mediterranean Sea. Its level rose, the bottom became deeper, and there was less light. The beautiful algae slowly plunged into darkness. Their domes collapsed and left behind those little ledges in the center and pieces of calcium carbonate scattered around. For thousands of years, there was nothing around those algae remains. But where did the big circles come from? After the melting of glaciers, the Mediterranean sea level stabilized about 8,000 years ago. The algae grew new layers in the form of small ledges, those swaying fan-shaped growths. This organism began to develop the pieces of calcium carbonate, and then small pieces began to roll down the ledges. They rolled in different directions, forming those perfect circles. At the moment, this version is the most realistic. Scientists say they have no direct evidence that the mysterious circles appear this way, but they also have no reason to believe that this version is incorrect. If any of you were hoping that someone or something had deliberately drawn these circles, don't get upset. There are other mysterious circles on the seabed, and this time, they were created for an important purpose by one amazing creature. In 1995, divers noticed beautiful circles with a geometric pattern right on the sandy bottom of the shores of Japan. It looked like someone had drawn them on the sand. The circles weren't ancient because otherwise the water would have swept the patterns away. Indeed, soon those drawings were erased, but then new ones appeared. Nobody knew what was going on. Was someone drawing stuff to tease divers? But it turned out to be much cooler. The patterns were supposed to attract females. And this someone who drew them was a small, white-spotted pufferfish. The males of these fish flap their fins on the seabed, swim in different directions, and thus draw amazing pattern circles. They have no art education, and they probably can't think abstractly, but they really want to start a family. These fish are about 5 inches long, but their artworks are about 7 feet in diameter. These little artists try their best, but what happens afterward? The female swims in, looks at the pattern, and gives her score. If she likes the pattern, she's ready to start a family. If she doesn't like the drawing, she dashes away and leaves the poor pufferfish with a broken heart. Nothing much is known about the drawings. Scientists can't get into the fish's brain and find the answers. All we can do is observe. And during long observations, scientists notice some curious things. Around the center, there are perfectly aligned gaps and patterns. The fish not only draws outlines on the seabed, but also decorates them with fragments of shells. That is, the male tries very hard like an artist working on their painting. The fish creates this masterpiece within 7 to 9 days. After that, undercurrents wash it away and the fish has to rebuild it if the female doesn't like this work. But if the female chooses the male, they become a couple. The female lays eggs in the center of these circles. Then she swims away and the male stays with the eggs for 6 days to protect and care for their offspring. The behavior of these fish is like that of bowerbird, birds that build small huts out of twigs and leaves and decorate them with colorful berries and flowers. All this to attract a mate to create offspring. Ever since Plato wrote about the allegory of Atlantis, humanity has been fascinated with the possibility of the discovery of a thriving underwater civilization. Let's see what we can find out about ancient civilizations at a few historic underwater sites. The first one on our list is what is called the underwater Stonehenge. Scientists have recently discovered a mysterious pile of cairns that stretch for miles under the shimmering waters of Lake Constance at the borders of Switzerland, Germany, and Austria. Archaeologists began to explore the site back in 2015, and they haven't been able to understand yet what it was used for. What they do know is that there's a 12-mile line of 170 human-made stone cairns under Lake Constance. Scientists say this was most likely the result of combined work of several villages. The cairn site was probably used for some collective purpose. The formations are huge. Some of them are several dozen feet wide. The most amazing discovery so far is that the site dates from around 5,500 years ago. Now, what were we humans doing back then? We were living in the prime years of the so-called Stone Age. We were beginning to make artifacts from stone and use them to hunt and eat. Both sites are believed to have been built around the same period. You see, Stonehenge dates to around 3,100 BC. Both sites carry the distinct characteristic of stone monuments built in a circle. Not to mention the fact that scientists also haven't figured out why on Earth our early ancestors would feel the need to build a monument such as Stonehenge. Well, the mystery of Lake Constance hasn't been solved yet. Who were the Neolithic people from this area? And for what purpose do they go through such a large amount of work and effort to build this huge stone site? Next, we're taking you on a tour of the Ryukyu Islands, just off the coast of Japan. You're diving deep down to an archaeological site. But I should warn you, the waters of the Pacific Ocean are far from smooth. It doesn't take long before you see a huge structure thanks to the sunlight shining down on the seabed. At first, it looks like Machu Picchu's ruins located across the globe in Peru. As you approach the site, you slowly figure out its forms. A pyramid-shaped structure, arches, staircases. It's something that could have easily been a palace or a castle. Could this be a sign of human activity? What you just seen is known today as the Yonaguni Monument. It also goes by the name of Japan's Atlantis. The entire monument is about the size of 5 soccer fields and the height of a 5-story building. Its most surprising feature is its expansive terraces. Explorers and scientists believe that Yonaguni might be 10,000 years old, but whether it's a human-made structure or a natural formation is still under debate. For Japan's top marine geologist, Professor Masaki Kimura, Yonaguni is a heritage of a lost civilization. Kimura has dived the bottom of the ocean to explore the ruins over 100 times over the past 10 years. According to him, there are clear signs of human activity down there. On the monument's surface, there is a triangle-shaped concave that is a historical symbol of water fountains in the region. There's also a giant turtle carved on the eastern side of the structure, and according to Kimura, turtles have an important cultural meaning. Several pieces of stone tools have been recovered from the site. Their estimated age is around 10,000 years. However, not all scientists support this theory. For many, Yonaguni is the result of thousands of years of erosion. The fact that the monument is composed of one massive rock leads them to believe it's not human-made. The defined edges and flat surfaces resemble a natural formation in northern Ireland known as the Giant's Causeway. The basalt columns look like the ruins of a palace, but they're the result of volcanic activity in the region. Now you're flying to the coast of Greece, 4 hours away from Athens. More specifically, you're in the Peloponnese Peninsula. You dust off an old snorkel and head for a free dive on a bright sunny day. Sometime into the dive, you start noticing patterns on the seabed. 13 feet below the surface, outlines of familiar objects start to appear one by one. As you continue swimming, what looks like the outline of an entire city emerges in front of your eyes. Rocks are perfectly aligned into what appears to be the foundation of a building. This is Pavlopetri, an ancient city discovered by Nicholas Fleming, a British oceanographer, when he was on vacation in Greece. He had heard rumors about Pavlopetri's existence and indeed found several artifacts on the seafloor. He went back to the area a year later with the team. They found a site filled with pots, storage vessels, and tools. A quern stone, for instance, is a tool used for grinding grains and turning them into flour. Multiple amphors indicate that this settlement dates to the Bronze Age, 5,500 years ago, when people started living in towns. The settlement is believed to have existed for over 2,400 years. Today, Pavlopetri is considered the oldest submerged town ever discovered. And what's impressive is that it wasn't a simple village. It was a vibrant port city with stone buildings, a marketplace, streets, and even squares. The next stop on our voyage is one of today's most famous underwater cities that has been turned into an archaeological park. The city of Port Royal in Jamaica exists only below the surface, but in 1692, it was one of the wealthiest cities in the Western Hemisphere. Port Royal was the center of the British Empire at the time and an important trade city that attracted people from all over the region. It was also home to real-life pirates of the Caribbean. On the morning of June 7th, 1692, the people of Port Royal met a different fate than they had probably expected. The city woke up shaking. People were thrown out of their beds by the power of a massive earthquake, ranking 7.5 on a Richter scale. One survivor said he had seen Earth opening up and swallowing the whole town. What he said could be true, as the city was mainly built on sand. The ground swallowed buildings and roads. You name it. Geysers erupted and finally waves as big as 10-story buildings hit the city. About 33 acres of the city disappeared under the water. Amazingly, most of its 17th century remains are still in good condition under 40 feet of water. Archaeologists have found taverns, storage rooms, kitchens, and recreational buildings used for diverse purposes. You can also see a Grand Lion statue, a submerged bridge, and many picturesque arches. Of course, I saved the best for last. India. Just off its coast lies another sunken marvel, a site known as the lost city of Cambay, located in the Gulf with a similar name. It remained undiscovered until 2001, when the National Institute of Ocean Technology conducted a routine water assessment with the help of sonar technology, which sends a sound wave to the bottom of the sea. They found something far beneath the surface. Images showed well-defined geometric shapes spread along a 5-mile stretch. The remains date to more than 9,500 years ago, meaning the civilization was lost at around the end of the Ice Age. Debris recovered from the site, including construction material, pottery, beads, sculptures, and even bones. Scientists argue whether these artifacts are indeed from the site. But if they truly are, then the lost city of Cambay might be the oldest civilization in the world. If we zoom in Greenland from space, it looks white and calm. But deep beneath its surface, something may be moving. For years, radar scans have been showing strange plume-like distortions that couldn't be explained. Something is bending the ice from within and pushing it upward. And now, scientists finally understand what it is. Greenland is the largest island on Earth, roughly the size of the entire American Southwest. Over 80% of it sits under an ice sheet up to 10,000 feet thick. If that melts, sea levels will rise 24 feet, which in short means goodbye Florida coastlines. What's cool is that under those 2 miles of ice lies an entirely hidden landscape. There are mountains under it, whole ridgelines sealed in. There's even a massive canyon stretching about 460 miles long. That's longer than the Grand Canyon. It was discovered only in 2013 using ice-penetrating radar. We're talking about a network of canyons untouched by sunlight for millions of years. It's the only place on Earth like this. That same radar also shows the ice's internal layers. Think of them as pages or chapters adding to a book annually. Snow falls at around 12 degrees Fahrenheit and never really melts. It piles up, gets squeezed together, and turns into dense glacial ice. While it's stacking up, it also slowly, very slowly, drifts toward the ocean thanks to gravity. In the deep interior, that motion is barely noticeable, maybe just a few inches per year. At least, this is what scientists expect to see when scanning beneath. But in parts of northern Greenland, the story is different. The neat layers are not lying flat. Instead, they curve upward. It looks like something deep inside the ice is slowly lifting it from below. So what's going on? The new idea is thermal convection inside the ice. It sounds complicated, but the principle is simple. Greenland's surface can drop below minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit, while the base way down below can be slightly warmer. Earth leaks heat upward nonstop, and the pressure from nearly 2 miles of ice lowers the melting point down there. The temperature difference is small, but across that much thickness, even the smallest differences matter. The ice remains solid, yet the deeper layers become easier to form. Over long stretches of time, that softer ice can rise in slow domes, while colder ice above settles around it, bending the once flat layers into those plume shapes radar picked up. It only happens in certain spots. The ice needs to be thick enough for that slow vertical movement to take place. If it's too thin, there's no space for the loop to form. And if it gets pulled sideways too much, the pattern gets all messed up. And that's why you only see the plumes where Greenland is both huge and calm. But Greenland isn't only changing underneath. It's also experiencing transformations on the surface. Or better said, it opens from above. We're talking about real-life trapdoors in the ice called moulins. Think of them as vertical drain holes right in the middle of the ice sheet. In summer, melting water doesn't always just trickle off the edge like a lazy river. Sometimes it finds a weak spot, tears open, and suddenly the entire stream drops out of sight, forming a deep pit. Some moulin openings are tens of feet wide, and the shafts can plunge hundreds of feet straight down. In extreme cases, they can connect almost all the way to the base of the ice sheet. When scientists tried to make the water math add up, it just wouldn't. The only way it worked was if the moulin was way bigger inside than it looks from the top. Like the opening is just a doorway, and underneath there's a whole hidden room carved into the ice. And that detail matters because a bigger room can store more water. More stored water means more pressure, and more pressure can make the ice slide faster. And here's the biggest part. These shafts are highways from meltwater straight to the base of the ice sheet. Water flowing down there lubricates the ice. All that water acts like grease on a baking pan. It lets the massive glaciers slide way faster into the ocean. Bigger moulins can deliver more water more often, sometimes in sudden surges. This cranks up pressure at the base and even pushes water into cracks, creating weak zones that make the plumbing network even more efficient than next summer. So, there are weird plumes. There are moulins. And that's not all. Greenland has a history of straight up losing huge chunks of ice in dramatic crashes called calving. There are records of skyscraper-sized blocks of ice suddenly breaking off a glacier and vanishing into the ocean. In 2015, the Jakobshavn Glacier calved an iceberg the size of Manhattan. And in 2020, the Spalk Glacier collapsed, sending an area of ice bigger than 40 square miles into the sea. These are giant avalanches with chunks cracking, tilting, and tipping over like dominoes before splashing into the ocean. Sometimes the ice flips over entirely as it hits the water, sending a wall of icy spray hundreds of feet into the air. The sound of these crashes is absolutely deafening. It echoes across the water like an endless string of thunderclaps. When a piece of ice the size of a city block hits the ocean, it creates massive waves that can easily swamp nearby boats. Other times, massive slabs float off slowly, like frozen islands drifting away to eventually break apart into smaller pieces. We know Greenland can lose colossal amounts of ice without a giant disaster. A 1,640-foot thick section called Prudhoe Dome melted completely 7,000 years ago during a normal warming period. Greenland doesn't need to become super hot to lose ice. It just needs to stay warm for a while. Scientists also know that ice can move up from deep inside. Water can cut down through the ice, and the rocks below show that Greenland has lost big ice domes before. Perhaps the best proof, okay, maybe not the best, but certainly the cutest one, that Greenland is going through various changes is the behavior of these creatures. They might look cute to us, but they are actually very dangerous to their prey. Orcas are killer whales. They are black and white torpedo lookalikes with a dorsal fin resembling something that belongs to a movie villain. The thing is, they hunt in coordinated family groups, and they're smart enough to plan. They sit at the very top of the food chain. So, what's going on is that orcas don't really like heavy sea ice, not because they're scared, but because it's a trap. Ice can block breathing holes, or mess up their hunting, or maybe it just makes it harder to move around. So, for a long time, thick ice acted like a natural fence that kept them out of certain areas near Greenland. Now, that fence isn't as reliable. As the ocean around Greenland stays open for longer stretches, prey can spread into areas that used to be locked up and orcas can follow. Animals that usually rely on the ice for a safe hiding spot suddenly find themselves completely exposed. The newly melted water basically turns into an all-you-can-eat buffet for the incoming whales. The bottom line is that our branches are reacting to the new layout. It's like watching a new boss character enter a level that used to be sealed off. The moment you see them cruising around like they own the place, you know something about the environment has already shifted. In the past few decades, Greenland has been losing ice faster than it used to, and all that ends up in the ocean. So, this isn't just a cool mystery about weird radar shapes. Sea level forecasts rely on predicting how ice behaves. If mile-deep ice acts like bubbling putty, hides massive subterranean water rooms, and shifts local wildlife, the old predictions fly out the window. Greenland is a living system holding enough water to sink coastal regions, making every new discovery a very big deal. The lost city of Atlantis may have been found. Not really. Two researchers were working in the waters off the coast of Cuba when they discovered the ruins of what looked like an ancient, submerged city that happened about 20 years ago. And yet, no one really talks about it today. It's like the authorities just took the research, locked it away in some top secret room, and decided no one else should know about it. But why? Well, I'm gonna tell you. Back in 2001, Paulina Zalitsky, a marine engineer, and her husband Paul Weinsweit were hired to explore the waters off Cuba's western coast. They had two main objectives: to search for old shipwrecks, possibly hiding treasures like gold and jewels, and to locate valuable oil and natural gas deposits deep underwater. They were using a sonar. Basically, this equipment is like a sound-based radar. It sends out sound waves underwater, and when those waves hit something like a sunken ship, they bounce back. This system can figure out where and how far the object is just by listening to the echo. So, the couple was scanning the seafloor with this equipment more than 2,000 feet below the surface. And then, out of nowhere, they found something way more interesting than gold or oil. They found stones. Not just any stones. I'm talking about huge, perfectly arranged stones. Kind of like a mini version of the pyramid at Chichen Itza. Or even better, like a bunch of tiny submerged Chichen Itzas. Yep, they saw that, or at least they think they did. The thing is, sonar doesn't work like a camera. It doesn't record videos or take actual pictures underwater. What it does is create images using sound. And those images are usually just outlines or shapes, kind of like a blurry black and white sketch. It shows you where things are, but not exactly what they look like. And that's exactly what happened back then. The equipment started producing images of these perfectly organized stone structures. And it really looked like some kind of urban development. I mean, the site was just too organized, too symmetrical to be just random rocks. But it sounded too good to be true. I mean, this discovery could totally change everything we know about ancient civilizations on the American continent. So, the scientists decided it would be too irresponsible to announce anything without finding more evidence first. And that's why they decided to go back to that same spot. This time they sent down an underwater, remotely operated vehicle to see what was going on beneath the sea. See, this robot was basically an underwater cameraman. And yep, it confirmed it. There was something strange down there. It looked like an ancient city made of huge, smooth blocks of stone. These rocks were about 8 feet by 10 feet. Some were in pyramid shapes. Others were circular. Some seemed to be deliberately cut and then stacked on top of each other, while others appeared isolated from the rest. Together, they looked like they were forming corridors and outlines of rooms. It was like finding large buildings in the middle of an underwater desert. These images were enough for Zelitsky to seal the deal. Back then, she confirmed that this amazing structure could have been a large urban center. Then the couple started to speculate. They said that these structures were probably built more than 6,000 years ago, which would make them older than the Great Pyramids of Egypt. It's even older than the famous Maya, the civilization that used to live in the Americas and is known for their ancient and advanced temples. The research also suggested that these structures might belong to a civilization that lived on the American continent thousands of years ago, and that we didn't even know about. This supposed civilization once thrived on a 100-mile land bridge connecting Cuba to Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. But then something catastrophic happened. According to their theory, the Earth's fault shifted beneath the surface, leading to a massive earthquake. Then in the blink of an eye, the entire bridge was destroyed. The land was swallowed up by the sea and ended up at the bottom of the ocean, and this civilization disappeared. Of course, all the connections to the famous Atlantis myth got the media totally hooked on the story. News. Websites ran headlines like Lost City of the Caribbean found, and Atlantis found in Cuba. So, could that really be Atlantis? I mean, did they finally find the remains of the supposedly super advanced and lost civilization? Well, it's hard to say. From the start, part of the scientific community wasn't buying into the story too much. First, there's the issue of the date. Saying that the civilization existed at this spot at least 6,000 years ago just wasn't very credible. Then some European archaeologists argued that the stones they found using sonar might just be natural limestone, not perfectly sculpted blocks. And third, it was too deep. Even with the whole theory of Earth faults opening and swallowing everything, it's still hard to explain how an entire city ended up so deep in the ocean. For comparison, there's Thonis Heraclean, a real ancient Egyptian port city that got submerged. Today, it is only about 19 feet underwater. But this so-called Atlantis city is at depths between 2,000 and 2,460 feet. See how that's totally different, right? People think it would have taken around 50,000 years for such stone structures to sink to the depth where they're said to be found. And according to experts, none of the known civilizations from that long ago had the ability to build such structures. But for Zalitsky, yes, it was possible. She still believed in the fault theory to explain how this land ended up at the bottom of the ocean so fast. Big movements of the Earth's tectonic plates are usually followed by things like volcanoes and earthquakes. So, according to her, it's a powerful event, and the island sinking could have happened really quickly. This earthquake theory could also explain why some of the megaliths on the seafloor look organized while others don't. But to really prove any of this, they needed a specially designed robot to go down there again and take samples of the rocks and sediment. That way, they could figure out how old the rocks were and maybe even find signs of human life, like carvings, sculptures, or artifacts. The problem is, drilling into those structures isn't easy. They look incredibly solid, and drilling at that depth underwater is seriously tough. And more than anything, they needed money to do it, a lot of it. So maybe they just never got the funding, because even with all that initial hype, no further explorations or studies were ever reported. And that lack of follow-up sparked a lot of speculation. Some people even wondered if the story got shut down on purpose. Like maybe the authorities want to keep something top secret, as if this underwater city was built by some kind of higher extraterrestrial being, and they just don't want us to find out. But truth be told, the strongest argument for saying, yeah, that is definitely a lost city, was that nature supposedly couldn't have built something so symmetrical. Geologists did try to find natural explanations, or at least similar examples from other parts of the world, but they came up short. Still, just because we haven't found a clear natural explanation doesn't mean there isn't one. Nature can create some wild and unexpected stuff. So, honestly, that whole too perfect to be natural angle is kind of a weak argument. What most likely happened is that experts weren't convinced it was a sunken city, and that's probably why no one followed up on their work. Over time, the buzz faded, the story disappeared, and the site slipped back into silence. And without more data, the true nature of those underwater formations off Cuba's coast is still a mystery.